Matt Mangine Jr. was a Kentucky high school soccer player who collapsed on the field back in June, and his death drove us to take a deeper look at what is in place to protect student athletes.
Yeah, when you send your kids to school, you expect them to be safe. In 2014, laws around safety in schools in Ohio did increase. Chris Rankel explains how that law, though, doesn't necessarily extend to after the school bell rings in our ongoing series, Athletes at Risk.
In sports, a team scoring is not always a matter of if, but when. The same is true for sports and emergencies. That's why athletic trainers and their athletic departments plan to prepare and prevent with a written plan or an athletic EAP.
EAPs are short for emergency action plans.
The plan lays out everything from emergency equipment to emergency responders for after the school bell rings.
An emergency action plan just tells us who's responsible for what in an emergency, whose responsibility it is to call 911, whose responsibility is it to go meet 911, where are we having 911 come in, what's the route to bring them to us.
Except not everybody's plan is that detailed, because it doesn't have to be.
We take this very seriously here.
The House will prepare and proceed to vote.
In 2014, an Ohio law passed requiring schools to create emergency action plans, but it never specified sports venues like stadiums or what the EAPs need to include. The Corey Stringer Institute is the only organization in the nation to review all 51 state high school associations' sports policies. Emergency action plans are part of their review. Ohio received 0.8 points out of 8. That's because Ohio doesn't require an athletic EAP to include maps and directions of every venue, or even that it must be handed out to all athletic staff members. The OHSAA does recommend some of these things, which is why the OHSAA's Debbie Moore is upset. Moore is the staff liaison to the committee that reviews the safety of sports, or SMAC.
The things such as developed and coordinated with local EMS and public safety people, that's part of the plan. We didn't get scored correctly on that.
Stu Wilson, who is a member of the OHSAA's SMAC, said they have worked to make EAPs better.
We've added stuff like anyone can save a life, so we're addressing AEDs and emergency action plans, and we have made some progress behind the scenes.
But in order to get credit from KSI, it must be required by the state association. So how much would EAPs cost schools?
I don't know that the creation of the plan has a monetary value.
Want to know what plan is part of all schools' athletic sidelines? An inclement weather policy. That's because the OHSAA states that schools are required to adhere to the OHSAA's lightning/inclement weather policy. Chris Rankel, Local 12 News.
Kentucky does require venue-specific emergency action plans for athletics. Indiana does not require any sort of athletic EAP. We will have more stories coming up this week on this topic, and to learn more about emergency action plans, head to athletesAtRisk.com.